Now, we'll talk more about that to clarify that, because to some people, maybe they've never heard what I said. Look, I have been in the faith over 50 years, so it's taken me time to learn all these things, okay? But let's focus on prayer with the Spirit now, rather than in the Spirit. Let's focus on with the Spirit, where we literally activate it with I will pray, I will sing, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians. All right, now, does this differ from the tongues in private use and private life? The answer is, of course, yes. Because here Paul is talking about tongues in the assembly. Tongues in the assembly. So he begins by saying in chapter 12, remember, and here again, let's just look one more time to notice it in verse 10. He says, to another. He's talking about when we come together in a church meeting, assembly. To another, the working of miracles. To another, prophecy. To another, discerning of spirits. To another, diverse kinds of tongues, and so on. Because interpretations are not needed in privacy. Because he says to another, interpretation of tongues, all these works that one and self, same Spirit, divided to every man severally as he will, for the body is one. So he's talking about the assembly and the church being together when tongues is used in this portion. And in 1 Corinthians 15, verse 5, he's still talking about the assembly. He says, I wish that you all, well, you're together, that is, speak with tongues, but that you rather, or in order that you may prophesy, because greater is he that prophesies than he that speaks with tongues, except he interpret, that the church may receive edifying. So in this two scriptures, he's talking about tongues in church, tongues in the assembly. We don't see a lot of that today, sadly, but we need to. Now, so this speaks of tongues in the assembly, not in private life. Now, let's also look at Acts 2. Now, this is what he means by diverse kinds of tongues. So the first time we saw the gift of tongues used was in Acts 2, verse 4 through 6, because here's where tongues is understood as a real language that people heard and understood. You see, there's three kinds of tongues. Number one, the tongues of Acts 2 that they understood, people understood. Two, the tongues we speak that are mysteries unto God. That's in 1 Corinthians, that nobody understands. Number three, the tongues that has to be interpreted to edify the church. So in Acts 2, it talks about the tongues that came on the apostles and disciples, the 120, that began speaking in unknown tongues, and the crowd heard them speaking their own language. Number two, Paul talks about the tongues for mysteries unto God, that he said no man understands, even we don't understand what we're saying. And it says we get edified with those. So he that prays in tongues edifies himself, the Bible says. But there's a third tongue that is used in the church, in the assembly, mentioned in 1 Corinthians 12:10, in 1 Corinthians 14:5, where once interpreted, it edifies the church. So three types of tongues.